Hi, everyone. It is me again. I don't know how to do this. I am a human. Totally. Anyway, I just wanted to talk about something that kind of means a lot to me and me only. I know that might be sounding stupid, but I I do. A lot of people actually do this coping skill, but I age regress. Now, age regression is very fun and comforting to me, and though people sexualize it, it's still a comfort skill that I involuntarily use. What is age regression? You might possibly be asking. Age regression is when someone regresses to the mind of a child or regresses to the mindset of a baby. Now, this usually happens with people with disorders such as PTSD, DID, OSDD, or anxiety. It's a way to reduce anxiety or trauma or help with trauma. And even though I age regress, I still like to be treated as a human because when people hear that, they tend to either sexualize the coping skill, say that it's not okay to have that coping skill. It is, in fact, okay to age regress. It's a normal thing and it's a normal part of life. We need ways to cope in some way, you know? I think what people need to really reconsider is how they treat people in general for having certain coping skills that do not meet the normal criteria for the normal human society. We're not all normal. We are unique in our own ways, and that should be generally respected. But sadly, when it comes to people, there are some people who, yes, they accept, but there are other people when they find out about this coping skill that, again, they sexualize it. And that's not okay. I'm generally get really ticked off when people sexualize a coping skill because it helps the person. It's not a kink. It's not to be sexy. It generally helps people, and I think that's what people need to fully understand. You know, like, people can have this involuntarily and not even be able to make their own choices because they're in the mindset of a baby or a child. That's what they should also reconsider. It's not always voluntarily. We don't always want to be in little space, but sometimes we happen to be in little space because of something happening. It's not always a choice for some people. And when people think of little space, they think of DDLG, which is a kink, which I, for a little bit, was associated with that group because of an ex-boyfriend before realizing that there was I didn't like that. It made me super uncomfortable, and there happened to be a SFW one, Safe for Work, little space group called Age Regression, and that's what I do now. Personally, as a 16-year-old, I don't enjoy or relic the fact that I ended up being in a DDLG group when I was dating my ex-boyfriend, but that's where I was, and glad to say that I'm no longer in that group. It can be toxic, and it can trick a lot of people into thinking that's what the whole purpose of age regression is DDLG, which it is definitely not. It's not something to, poke around and stuff. Also, that we're talking about coping skills, there is also a coping skill called pet play. Now, I've personally heard of pet play, and at first kind of thought it was Therian. It's not Therian. But people shouldn't be judged for their coping skills, and I think people need to understand that even with these coping skills, yes, they are different and they're not what we're used to, but we still need to treat people with respect. Because especially on TikTok, the moment you you seem different, you're immediately harassed, and that's not okay, because there are minors in the age regression and pet play community who get harassed because they're in this community or they're different in some way, and that's not okay. It's not okay that there's so much harassment in the world, and people need to understand how it really affects the person in general. You know, I don't know what else to say other than it definitely sucks that people tend to act this way with these certain coping skills. I wanted to talk about it and vent about it because it annoyed me. But thank you for watching, and hope you like and subscribe.